because of you, the will of the people prevail. Not the anger of the mob or the appetites of one man.
President Biden in Pennsylvania Friday. Saturday marked 3 years since the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. And in Wisconsin, a retired Rear Admiral for the U.S. Navy made several stops across the state, publicly warning of another Trump presidency.
Mike Smith is founder of National Security Leaders for America, a group of retired top military officials, former ambassadors, and cabinet secretaries. And he joins us now. Rear Admiral, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here.
You spent 30 plus years as a top military official, commanding destroyers, commander of a carrier strike group, awarded the Bronze Star. You've said you've never waded into politics until now. I'm curious why.
You know, it's just not something that I ever imagined I'd be doing after I retired, that I would be here trying to defend American democracy from a threat from a former president. But that's what Donald Trump is, and we have to get the word out. People have to understand that he is an existential threat to the future of American democracy.
You've created the National Security Leaders for America. Tell me, who's a part of this group?
We have right now about 700. They're all former senior national security leaders, so admirals and generals, retired admirals and generals, retired senior enlisted. We have former ambassadors, and then the former cabinet secretaries, service secretaries, people who served in senior positions who themselves took an oath to defend the Constitution.
And bipartisan administrations, or?
Absolutely. So, I mean, we have Republicans, we have independents, we have Democrats. We are a bipartisan organization. We're independent. We're not part of any party.
And to that bipartisan point, in this era of such polarized politics, I think there's going to be a lot of people who don't believe that and think that this is just a bunch of Democrats who are trying to not have Trump become president again.
You know, we have a mission, and we're going to go after the defending democracy. We're not going to try and convince a Trump supporter that they're wrong. We're not going to try and motivate the base necessarily. We're going to try and focus on that independent voter and explain to them the threats that Donald Trump poses.
What do you consider yourself politically?
You know, I would definitely say that I'm more liberal than most of my peers that I work with in the military. My family's from California, so maybe that's it.
The former president's facing dozens of felony charges related to January 6th. Why do you think, though, that so many people still do support former President Donald Trump?
You know, I think it's two things. So, well, first of all, I think he's got 30% of the Republican Party that are going to vote for him no matter what. But that means the majority of the Republicans maybe won't. So I don't know that he has everybody, but because he's got so many opponents, the vote split, and he's going to yet again win the Republican nomination just because of that core 30%. So I think that, you know, that most people need to understand that this is a threat and what it poses to the future.
Retired Rear Admiral Mike Smith, thank you so much for your time and your perspective.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Up next, remembering Herb Kohl.